this FedEx delivery of our fridge. It was supposed to be here between 10:30 and 2:30. It is 3:15. And we need to go into town to get a few things done. So we're gonna go take care of that and hope that it's here when we get back. Massively large box, you're not
Upgrades.
Our awesome camp host just texted me a picture. The refrigerator's here, and we're actually just pulling in right now, so it's perfect timing. Before we get into why we decided to get a new fridge, I need to get this out of here because I am so eager to see it. So we're gonna unbox it. Oh, there's another box. Because that will be less likely that it's damaged, right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm gonna need some. All right, now we're prepared. All right, she's a beauty. This is the RecPro 3.3 cubic feet refrigerator, no freezer. We have a small like cooler, 12-volt cooler that can be a freezer. So we're gonna use that as our freezer, and this is our refrigerator. We're hoping it starts to solve some of our power issues that we've been having. Basically have to plug in like every 6 days, 5 or 6 days, depending on the sun. We think that's because we have to run our inverter all the time because of our fridge. So hopefully this solves our issues. But we'll get into more of those details in a little bit.
We're gonna take all the groceries out so when we move it, it won't be too heavy.
So the first thing is we got to pull this out of here because I have to unplug it. The pro to this type of fridge is it's just plug in, just like a regular home fridge. Here, I gotta turn it this way, which I don't think you can do. We gotta lift it back up and like turn it. I don't know how I got that in there by myself before, but here we are. It's out. Something's going on with the inverter, start making crazy noises, so I need to go inspect that before we plug anything back in. Okay, so when I was doing the electrical in this van, I caught myself many a time trying to free up this marine cable. I am using 10 gauge copper marine cable. Probably a little bigger than I really need to because it's not a huge run back to my panel, but I'd rather go bigger than smaller to make sure that it can handle the electric that this fridge needs. The difference between a 12-volt fridge and a standard fridge is you actually like hardwire right back to the panel. So it's not as easy and just like plug and play, but it's going to save us a ton of power, hypothetically. TBD. So I'm going to try to be real careful. I'm not going to pay attention to y'all right now so I can make sure I don't cut my finger open like I did several times with this rusty ass blade. Oh no, it looks like it. Oh no, it is rust. So most 12-volt appliances, everything I wired in the van just needed a positive and a negative wire. But this actually has 3 and it requires a ground. I say to ground it right to the body of the RV. So I'm going to cut a small piece of this wire because all I have, ground it to the body, to the metal of the RV. I'm going to strip it. Strip, baby, strip. Put it right in the 10 gauge. Thicker wires sometimes are a little tougher, so I have to kind of go around both sides. And then there we go. I'm gonna wire the fridge out here because I think it'll be easier than when it gets in there because the space is so tight. And then I'll run the cable back to the distribution panel. It's kind of the opposite of how I've done everything else in the van, but I think it's going to be the easiest way for us to make this happen. So there's those two. I'm going to trim off this extra protective coating. And that's it. I wired almost everything in the van with this marine cable. It's just super high quality and it has this protected on it. The only thing I ran with like a lower gauge cable were like really low amp things like the lights. All of my appliances and like bigger outlets are ran with this like really high quality wire. So I got to do the same thing on the other end because I'm going to need that end to plug into the distribution panel. I think I'm just going to use this whole, I'm going to cut a little piece off for that grounding cable I just talked about. But for the most part, I think I'm going to need most of this to get around and back. So, yeah. So, we're heading to Home Depot because I need connectors that I would have at home if we were home. I'm sure I have them in my workshop. But we're not home. So, it's about a 20-minute drive. And we just left everything out. It's crazy. But we're going to make it happen. So it's going to be a late night. It's almost 8 o'clock. I'm just getting Home Depot and then it's a 20-minute, 25-minute drive back. It's going to take at least another hour to install this thing. We're going to make it happen. And I have a long work day tomorrow too, so not looking forward to that, but let's go find these things. I know I need 10 gauge. I don't know what size stud those things are, so I'm buying both of these because I am not coming all the way back here. I'll bring one back, whichever one we don't need. So I just gotta grab these and we're out. Not the ideal way of doing this, but we're gonna make it work. Here in the dark. It's cold and it's windy, but there's more space out here than inside the van. This is what we had to go to Home Depot for. Space. Bumper. For the record, I blame FedEx because if they would have delivered on time, we would have figured out this problem during the day, and we would have went to Home Depot when we were out. So.
And that's that for now.
I might get a small, because this sits a little higher. So I think I can get a piece of wood and put it right here. Okay. So that way it doesn't fall out. Like just a small piece of trim at Home Depot. Mm-hmm. It's so much bigger. It's almost the same size as the old fridge, right? Because this would have been freezer space. It doesn't feel bigger, but you can see from up here, that's about how much space we had up top. Maybe slightly shorter, right? So now, I'm not done yet. I have to get in the back, take all the stuff in our little storage area back there, and actually wire this into the distribution panel so that it can be powered up. Which should be a big job. Okay, now this has to go back in, which is not easy either. Nothing's easy about this van. Everything's a pain in my ass. So, we got it in. I actually had estimated that it would take us like 5 hours, and it took us less than that because we didn't really start until 6, and then we had to go all the way to Home Depot. So it really took us like probably 3 hours altogether to get everything done. So we're waiting for it to come down to temp so we can put the food in. And what we're actually going to do, we're going to close this video out in a few days from now, maybe 3 or 4 days from now, test it, see how it goes, see how much power it takes, so we can report back to you, because I know that would have been super helpful for me when I was thinking about buying this, between this and using a dorm fridge. So hopefully it solves our problems, but we will report back and let you know. So we are back. We promised you an update once we had used the fridge for a little bit, and it has been about a week. So we installed it on Wednesday of last week, and then we unplugged on Thursday for our meetup, and we have not plugged back in since, and it is now Friday of the following week. Typically by now we would have had to plug in because we would have been at 0% power, maybe 10% power. Right now, as of this morning, we are at 55%. So it's not quite keeping up in the way that I thought it would, but I think with the amount of time we will be driving this weekend, and in general over the weekend we tend to use less power because we don't have to have our Starlink running. I think it's still going to be a net positive when it comes to our power. So we really love how much space that it gives us, and it's just easy to see all the things. The freezer is working out well for us, our other little cooler. And overall, we're pretty excited about this purchase. We'll maybe update you in a few months if that changes. But for now, we are really excited about this RecPro fridge, which is made by Everchill. And I think it is a definite upgrade to consider if you're doing a van build, because power is everything when you live in a van. So thank you again if you made it this far for watching our video. We hope that this was helpful to you if you're in the middle of a van build or you're just curious about what it's like living in a van and having to worry about your power all the time. Please drop a comment, hit that like button, and definitely click subscribe so you can follow along as we continue to figure out what it means to go slow down.